We are talking Wicked for Good today. I am so excited to talk about it. Just know right now, I'm letting you know, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So if you don't want to know anything about Wicked for Good, not even the eensy beensy teeny weeny, any of that, then exit the chat, save the video, come back to it later. I got my little squishmallows here, and we're going to talk about things. Now, here's the thing to note, y'all. So this is after first watch. I watched already today, November 17th, okay? So I got an early access screening through the Amazon Prime early access screening, and this is fresh thoughts. So I'm not going to get everything, okay? I'm not going to get everything. I'm probably going to miss some stuff, and I do plan on watching it again this week. I don't have an exact date yet, whether it may be Friday or Saturday, but I do plan to watch it again so I can go back, sit with it again, and really get a full picture, which I'm really excited to do. Okay, so I have my notes here. Let's talk about it. So, one, overall, I loved it. I think Wicked Act 2 is a hard it's a hard one to keep people like entertained about because there can be some lulls, and so I think they did a solid job adding to the story so people who were already familiar with it, like myself, didn't get bored, or wasn't wasn't less interested in the storyline. Like there was always something new to still look forward to, which is really exciting. I liked getting new perspectives, which is really important. On top of that, I really like the opening scene. For that opening scene, we're basically getting them building the yellow brick road and what that process is kind of looking like, and then all of a sudden Elphaba's coming in, stopping them, stopping them from harming the animals and such. But then the plot twist of it all is, and then she's getting chased down. I love it because we get a little bit of like, Elphaba kind of not I was gonna say like Elphaba in her like fight era, you know what I'm saying? Which I appreciate because it's important development. It feels like a quick switch in a way. We get like Elphaba was warming up to the idea of flying and defying gravity and what does it mean to kind of stand up to people and such. And then now when we first started, she's like, "Let's go. What's up?" I think she's in a really interesting spot, just storyline wise, for people who do know it. It's like, hey, I'm wanting to fight for good. I can't do right with the animals. I can't do right with the people. Like, no one, I'm literally alone right now. And that's what we see her story throughout this whole entire film is like, nobody wants to be on her side for a long time, and that's hard. I will say I love the friend moments we get with with Glinda specifically and her friends Fanny, and I can't remember the other friend's name, but they have some good comedic moments with Madame Morrible that I really appreciate. The one, for example, is like Mrs. Morrible. She's not even married. Like just like simple things like that that I appreciate. So Bowen Yang, I have a feeling there's definitely some like ad libs in there, some improv in there. So definitely shout out to Bowen Yang. I will say, kind of tying into that too, I appreciate the callbacks that they do to the film number one. So there's some like tie-ins, some things that were already in the musical version, and then there's also some tie-ins that were just like to bring back for funsies that I appreciated. Like I said, certain things are gonna be specific and then certain things are gonna be general because I just watched it. It's still fresh in my brain, but like also like I watched it for 3 hours. An additional scene we got was Elphaba trying to stop the animals from leaving. I will say, one, I love that she got reunited with her bear, Dulcie Bear. There we go. I was like, I know Bear was in the last part. I'm glad that we did get Elphaba reuniting with Dulcie Bear because I was sure wondering. I know I couldn't have been the only one. I was like, what happened to Dulcie Bear? We know what happened to everybody else. What happened to Dulcie Bear? So I'm glad that she was brought back up again. And then on top of that, going back to what I said earlier, was like we get to see it's hey, Alpha, but you kind of on your own, sis, which is really hard because she's like, hey, stay. There's no place like home. Like, believe in me, believe in this. Like, we can't let them run us out of here. And they're like, sorry, girl. Like, you did this to the monkeys and you did that. I don't know if we could trust you. We don't know if we would really believe in you. On top of that, we got no place like home. I say it's an earworm. I keep thinking of no place like home. Like that part right there. Obviously Cynthia sings it so much better. For both added songs, No Place Like Home and Girl in the Bubble, I don't think they were these fantastic add-ons. I don't think they stand out when you have like No Good Deed right there. I think they were okay add-ons. They make sense. They fit into the storylines, but they weren't standouts for me. I will say No Place Like Home is an earworm that will stick a bit better. I could see me replaying that. Maybe not so much Girl in a Bubble, but No Place Like Home did take a while to get there, just as much as like Girl in the Bubble did. They're songs that are just kind of fillers, if that makes sense. And which, when you add a song to a musical, uh, yes, it's good that it fills in, but I think you want it to also stand out. To me, they didn't stand out personally. We also get introduced to the lion during that scene as well. He kind of like breaks the song for No Place Like Home. I forgot Homeboy was Coleman Domingo. I listened to him for a little bit and was like, oh snap, wait. So Coleman Domingo, you did solid with the voice acting because I forgot it was you. Moving on, I'm kind of like skipping around. Nessa. So I already knew, we kind of got snippets before about like Nessa flying and such. Instead of walking as she does in the film, which 100% makes sense considering that Marissa is actually in a wheelchair. But also there were a lot of there's a lot of like it's like tone deaf, I think is the word we want to look for in regards to in the original musical, someone who's in a wheelchair all of a sudden being like, I want to walk. And then, so I'm glad that they did that. That's a good approach. Her being able to fly, and then eventually she is back in her wheelchair again. So what is different is like I thought she would fly the whole time, but that would also cause some considerations of like, okay, now she has this power, but no, she doesn't fly the whole time, which makes sense also because then we would have more questions. I will say when Bach was becoming the Tin Man, it was such cool directing. I will say, I just remember sitting in the theater being like, "Oh my gosh, he is getting beat up! Oh my goodness, somebody help!" Whole time Elphaba's helping him, but like the scenes and the snippets we get of him like changing into the Tin Man are super cool. I just remember his face smacking on a plate of silver, and I was like, oh my god. So that was really good. Super solid director choices there. Super solid acting choices in regards to like Nessa being like shook and like, oh my gosh, what's happening? If you don't know me, don't follow me on TikTok, please do know me and Nessa have beef forever. We've been had beef. What musical Nessa, movie Nessa, okay? The conversation between her and Elphaba, pretty similar, almost exact to the musical. But the way Marissa plays Nessa, I see more of the desperation there, being like, hold on, you're my sister, I need you. But it is in a place of, I need you, not necessarily, I want you to be here with me. It's like, I need you to help me. You know what I'm saying? Or me. And so I'm glad that Elphaba goes and does her own thing. Either way, that's her sister. She can love her. But Elphaba did indeed say, like, nothing's ever good enough. And then what does Nessa do? Flips around and is like, oh my gosh, no, it was Elphaba Bach. No, sis, you're the one who touched the grimoire when you aren't supposed to. you know? But that's why I was at beef with Nessa. In regards to the Tin Man, I like the design, by the way. I like the style. I was here for it. I was first being like, wait, he doesn't look like Bach anymore at all. Not really. I feel like they kind of, at first I was like, oh, they kind of overdid it. But when we get to the Scarecrow, I'd rather them overdo it than underdo it. And we're going to talk about that. Wonderful. Wonderful is a song I forget about quite often. Wonderful is a song that I don't listen to. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty similar with everybody on that. Not a lot of people go back to like the Wizard songs. So I'm really glad they added Glinda in for that. I really appreciate the scenes for that. Very colorful, very pretty, very unique, I will say, in regards to what we normally see on the stage version. We finally get to understand why Elphaba and Glinda are like on a swing in the air. And it makes sense. Everything makes sense. But I really do think wonderful. I can see myself playing the movie version where like I don't play the musical version like ever at all. So shout out to them for that. And then we get the wedding. So for the wedding, one, we don't normally get the wedding in the musical adaptation. Two, I really appreciate getting the visuals in the scene for it. It was very pretty. The dress was very pretty, the butterflies, all that stuff like that. We've seen snippets here and there, but to finally get the full visual was really nice. Two, I loved how right after Wonderful, we're seeing how everything kind of unravels. And we're also seeing how exactly like this beautiful wedding gets torn apart in a beautiful way in the sense that the animals are being set free and in a way are kind of destroying this like fake imagery of what, you know, Glinda and Madame Morrible and the wizard has set up. It's like this isn't real. It also sets Sphero free in a way as well because he was about to get married to Glinda and he didn't want to. That was obvious. What I really loved about it in regards to the I'm Not That Girl reprise is that one, she's like walking in through this chaos now, like this destroyed wedding. Everything's a mess. She's teared up. Eyeliner, mascara, all that stuff. Like teared up. And she gets to sing the song, finally realizing, like, oh, I'm not the person that he loved. Heartbroken. everything around me is broken. Things are wild. And I appreciated getting that imagery. Ariana, Glinda sitting in that dress, with Ariana specifically acting the way she did, it was just really beautiful to me. It's like this post chaos conclusion, which is really interesting. From that, we also get, if you know the story, that's when Glinda's like, get her sister, get her sister, right? She did not think that they would kill her sister, but also Glinda just didn't. I want to say she knew better, but also she didn't because she really she wouldn't have thought that herself, but because of that, she didn't think other people would do it. That's a whole Glinda's complex, okay? So I will say with that scene, Madame Morrible doing all the things. Flash warnings. There's a lot going on. I remember I was blinking like, oh my gosh, this is bright. To be fair, I watched it in IMAX, so I don't know if that would be different, in another theater, but I just feel like a big screen, anything like that. It's just very bright. And I will with IMAX, I was feeling it too. Like you was feeling the tornado coming and Dorothy just coming through. As a Fierba lover, we got As Long as You're Mine, and here's what I'll say. I appreciated the director's choices because if you know the musical adaptation, they're just basically on the floor the whole time, pushing and pulling and rubbing arms, and there's so much push and pull, but they just stay in one place. I appreciated the more spatial and physical awareness of it all, of the push and pull. Elphaba kind of walking around, her Grove home area, kind of staring at him. He's kind of staring at her from afar, also admiring her work. And then they kind of come together and they walk around together. They fly in the air together. They come back down. It's very nice. Very nice. Um, Whoever did the costuming. Oh, well, we know who did the costuming, duh. We know who did the costuming. Okay, Oscar nominate, not Oscar winner. Oscar winner. I would say that was a great choice. For the costuming for that. I was like, "Ooh, we getting a little Elphaba leg. Okay, okay, green." And then she had her little kind of like cardigan shawl, but it was like mossy. I loved it. We did kind of get snippets of that before, but to get the full picture was really cool, and to see her kind of, I don't know the right word, but like Cynthia did it so well, just kind of like curling up in herself within it, but also being willing to like exist and be seen, be perceived. I don't know. I really like that. It was a very vulnerable moment as well, before all the other things had happened. Just to have him in her space and to finally be like, oh my gosh, I think this thing that I theoried was happening, that I thought would never happen, is actually happening. And I think that's really cool. After that, we get the Elphaba and Glinda fight scene because after that point, Nessa is now gone, and so Glinda just sent Dorothy on her way with Toto, and Elphaba is going to pay her respects. The fight scene there is really lovely, and I have my notes here because I said it very appreciated because it was super fun and believable. Two friends who feel betrayed by each other but still love one another. They just gotta duke it out sometimes. That's literally what I say. Gotta duke it out sometimes. Um, it's that betrayal feeling on both ends. Especially with Elphaba in that moment before they really get into it, finding out like, oh wait, you had something to do with this, and that's even the fact that they come to a certain level of forgiveness towards the end of the movie with all of that is so wild. Then also like Elphaba in a way kind of taking her man, even though really it was his fault because he shouldn't have been up in there. It very much feel hold on, Bridgerton. It very much feels like that again. It's like, you didn't want to be with her. Why are you being with her if you know you don't want to be with her? But yeah, that was a fun one. The comedy was there. Elphaba is a very serious person versus like Glinda doesn't she's not intentionally funny. Like that's not her purpose, but she's just funny as a character. And so there were a lot of cool moments there. Specifically from Ariana's aspect. I think she got to play around a little bit more, which was really cool. On to my favorite song of all time. My favorite song of all time is No Good Deed. And the fact that they were able to somehow make it better, somehow make it better. I was just sitting there like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. That was just me the whole time, but I was trying to be chill because like there's other people around me. But I will say the whole entire theater, loud applause right at the end. Everybody was clapping. first big applause in the theater for the whole movie was No Good Deed, and it was so worth it. I love that in No Good Deed we're getting the shots too. First of all, John M. Chu, the shots, like we're with Elphaba, and then she turns one way, and now we're getting a scene, for example, of Dr. Dillerman because she's thinking about that, or oh, now we're getting a scene of her at school, and now she's somehow back on campus at Shiz, and then now she's looking at Fiyero getting whammy because he's turning into the Scarecrow, and we're just getting all of this around her, and we're going to be able to get into her mind. And I love that. I didn't even that adds the fuel for us as viewers, as people who can understand where she's at but it's not really seeing it visually, seeing what's going on in her head. That gives us a visual for us, that puts in more emotion. I think I didn't cry safe. But if I was going to, I think that was actually going to be the one. Because looking back, like, no, you're right. Like, they was doing you wrong, sis. I knew that already. That's why I like No Good Deed. But to get the visual snapbacks is one thing that I'm so glad that John M. Chu thought about that. It's like, that's something we can't get in the theater version, in the musical version. Technically, they could, if they wanted to, have some people come back on stage and stuff. But it's the specific shots that we're getting that are really freaking cool. Like, he's got some overall movie over in the movie, he's got some really cool shots. And so did a solid job. I love the choices that Cynthia made. I said specifically it was like subtle, yeah, simple but effective. Like, didn't change the song too much. And the feeling, of course, as we know, with Cynthia's was 100% there. And any changes that she made was just like, it just added more. Like, once again, more fuel to the fire. Like her, if she's gonna add a run, it's gonna be a run that makes sense, and not just a run to do a run. For that, we also get Girl in a Bubble. I know I'm skipping stuff, y'all. I'm just talking about things I want to talk about. Girl in a Bubble. I already talked about what I feel about the song, but in regards to it though, I really appreciate it visually. I think it's a really cool visual. It plays on reflection a lot. So you're seeing Galinda in the mirror one way, and then all of a sudden now you're seeing her in the other mirror in the opposite of the room. How did that happen? She's on one staircase, but somehow now she's on the other staircase. Changes in shots and stuff. Reflection of a mirror closet situation. Like, there's a lot of cool shots playing off of the idea that, she's thinking about being a girl in a bubble. Bubble needs to pop. Things are about to change. Things are about to come down. You know what I'm saying? But her reflecting on what she's done, and I think also reflecting on who she could be, two sides to the story there. I actually think I got more messaging from the actual director's choices for the song versus like the actual song itself. It's just simple words. It gives us an insight in her head, but we already know that. But what I will say is I would just watch the scene again just for the director's choices on that because it's really cool. Okay, and I'm gonna skip. I'm skipping to the end. We get For Good. That solid. No notes there actually. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna skip that. But it's a really beautiful touch. The way that Ariana can play with her face while she's singing and make us understand every note and understanding of what is being said by her character is super important. I've said this before in other episodes of my podcast, specifically the Introvert Social Hour, musical episodes, where I'm like, some people can sing, some people can act, some people could do both. Sometimes when you see people on a musical stage, doesn't have to be Broadway, they can sing down to the boots, but you're not feeling anything. You know what I'm saying? And Ariana does that well. So whenever she's ready to go back onto the Broadway stage for a musical, that'd be cool. There is theory that she will be on West End. We'll see. Sundays in the Park with George. That's the theory there. We get Fiyero as a Scarecrow finally. Throughout this time that he has become one, we're getting like, shots from the behind, shots slightly from the side, not really profiled. I think, now here is one of my main notes. This is one of the things I was like, oh my. We can't go back. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? They were so simple with his facial makeup that it looked not so great in my opinion. And I know it wasn't just me because there were people next to me who laughed. And I was like, no. But it's not, in my opinion, it's not good. I don't know what they want to do there because, like I said before, we get the Tin Man and he doesn't look like Bach. He looks like a different person. And I know there's also, some possible like CGI and playing things like that, of course. But for Scarecrow, I just thought we would get a little bit more. It looks like Jonathan with some like bacon parchment paper on his face with some lines on it. And I'm pretty sure it took a lot of time and a lot of thought and stuff. I just think um I don't know if they were trying to make him still look like Jonathan, try to still make him look like Fiyero, but I think that whatever the effect was or whatever the choice was, it kind of had the opposite feeling, at least for me as a viewer. I saw it and I was like, I was just a little disappointed. Because of course, yes, that's Fiyero, right? But we want to still make him look like the Scarecrow, and it just looked a little off. That's all, and that's what I was worried about. Now I can't confirm because I saw the hair and it was very much trying to give like some kind of like rock situation. And I wasn't mad at that. The hair could be, hair is hair, or straw is straw. You know what I'm saying? But the face was just kind of, it was a bit lackluster in regards to like makeup art for me personally. Overall thoughts, because we're going to close this out. I've heard people say, and I do agree, that Act 1 is very much Elphaba's story, Act 2 is very much Glinda's story. I do agree with that. And I think that's why they added a lot, a lot of those added scenes are Elphaba scenes to make it feel more a bit evened out for sure. In regards to still getting the backstory of what's happening on Elphaba's end. Because that's equally as important. With the animals, with what she's doing with the Yellow Brick Road when we first open up in the movie and things like that. Because of that, I agree with people and them saying like Ariana seems to be more of a shoe-in, but that's only really just because she got to show more of her acting chops a little bit more this time around compared to Cynthia, just because of the storylines itself between Elphaba and Glinda. So we'll see where that goes. I do think it'd be very cool to see them both get nominated again, but also like the Oscars kind of stacked up towards the end of the year, because even going back to Sinners, I was like, oh, we're a shoe-in, and now we've got things coming out the woodwork. So it's going to be a bit packed this time around for sure. In regards to acting approach as well, I will say when it came to Ariana's approach for Glinda, I know she had talked about like understanding her and people understanding her better, and I will say that she definitely achieved her goal. I've watched Wicked about two times in person, and then some slime tutorials, and then of course listen to the soundtrack. But never once was I like, all right, Glinda girl, give me a hug. I was just like, Glinda, you did all this stuff. Like, I know you and Elphaba are still friends, and you think your friend is gone and stuff, but you made your bed, you lay in it this time around. And I think this also has a lot to do with John M. Chu's choices, director wise, but also like story add on wise as well. We see a lot more to help close out the story for Glinda than we do normally on a stage adaptation. And so for me, I was like, wow, okay, Glinda, you ate. I was a bit more on her side now, like proud of her. And so I appreciated that for sure. I think it gave a way better closeout than we've had in the musical version. Like I said, the add-ons helped. It didn't hurt. And so shout out to them there. And then we also get Fiyero and Elphaba walking away into the sunset. Like the sandy sunset is what I say. And then we get the finale portion of For Good, which I do appreciate as well. The shot that we get lastly between Elphaba and Glinda, it's like they're singing to each other, but they're singing out into the world. And it's like Glinda, and then she kind of fades out as Elphaba fades in. That was really cool. That was a really awesome choice. And I love that not Elphaba, sorry, Glinda gets the Grimoire. And I think that's a perfect signal of, hey, you're good. You're being good. You're changing everything. Being good, choosing the right path is your power. Here is your power now because this is what you deserve it. You've earned it. So yeah, that was a wonderful way to wrap up, which is why I say like overall there are notes. There could be notes, you know what I'm saying? And there were notes in the first one. But I really appreciated the way they closed things out, the way they added on and filled in. They gave more light to the story, more light to certain characters. I will say, Nessa and I still got beef. Bach got beef still. For sure, Z, this is the line got beef. The only person that's safe is Fiyero. But speaking of Fiyero, I've always wondered this, and I'm curious before we close it out. Plot hole question potentially. Some people say like if the Scarecrow is Fiyero, why was he going with Dorothy? fully knowing that Elphaba wasn't the Wicked Witch, fully knowing that let's go to the wizard, but the wizard ain't got no power. Okay, who told you to go to the wizard? Glinda? Oh, she ain't got no power either. Like what? So I just wonder what would your theory be of, Fiero's reasoning for just going along with Dorothy, going to see the wizard fully knowing he wasn't gonna do anything, I feel like that's a wicked in general question that people have, and I'm curious what your thoughts would be. Some people would say like it was his way to get closer to Elphaba. I think he could have done that without having to be in the crew. You know what I'm saying? It's just funny because it's one of those things. Is like, what reason was he there? Why did he go specifically for me? I'm like, why did he go to the wizard when he just locked the wizard in the cage not that long ago, fully knowing he didn't have no power? So what you doing back there? But let me know what you think. I'm gonna plan on watching Wicked for Good again. And then if I have more thoughts, I'll come back to you and do a part two if there's anything I missed along the way. But I think my biggest takeaway is no good deed. It was good before, it was great before, and somehow they made it greater. And so that is my takeaway there. I all the add-ons, all the things, I give them their flowers. I'm so excited to see how everybody takes in this film as a viewer who not many people are seeing it right now. So I'm really excited the fact that I got to see it today, and there are people who saw it before me. I think they did a solid job, and I made it out no tears. But let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments. Wicked has finally come to a close. Isn't that wild, y'all? What a time.